Good day, everyone. So for your subject in Research 1, in Introduction to Research, we need now to discuss the review of related literature. Okay, so this is part of your Chapter 1, review of related literature, or so-called the RRL, is one of the reasons why your research hardbound works will be thick, okay? Because this contains a lot of information. This is where the whole sense of your research work is being done with your review of related literature. Okay, so now we will be discussing more about of this. So before we begin with that, with the RRL, let us all understand the whole sense and the concept of the research process. Again, you are in the subject research. So basically, you will be doing the research work, especially on the next semester, which is in the research 2. And I knew for a fact that this is not already new to you because you are product of the K-12 and you were already introduced with this research work during your senior high school years. Now, we still need to discuss and to review some of this information. When we speak of the research process, we need to done all of these concepts and process. First, you need to identify your research problem because you could not complete or even begin to have your research work if you don't have any problem at all. What I mean problem is the subject of your research. What do you need to study? What is that thing that you would like to explore? You have to identify the problem. Again, without a problem, we could not say that this is a research because that will make sense. The research process or the research work is with the presence of the problem. Because if we don't have any problem at all, we are not, research work is pointless. That is why you need to identify first and foremost your research problem. Second one, you need to formulate your research objectives. After you identify your problem, you have now to formulate what are your objectives, what are your goals, okay? What are the questions that you would like to be answered at the end of the day? It's like beginning a school year or having a particular subject, you have your objectives. Why do you need to conduct that study? You have to list down your reasons or your objectives so that at the end of your research work, you will be able to know whether you achieve that objectives or not. Third one, which actually is our topic for today, is the review of related literature. This is, again, this is the heart of your research work because this is where your accumulated information, research information that you've got from your different sources, whether that's primary or secondary sources, you all need that to input in your review of related literature. Okay, so basically that is part of the research process. Delimitation of the research problem. When we speak of the limitation of your research problem, what are your scope and limitation of the problem? What is the scope or the coverage of your problem or your research work, and where is that bounded off? Okay, what is the limit of your research work? Until when or until where it still covers your research topic? Okay, you have to identify that so that you will only be bounded with that delimitation. We also have the formulation of testable hypotheses. Now, when we speak of hypotheses, this means these are your tentative claims. Okay, you have to declare also this on throughout your research problem or research process, because at the end of your when you gather your data, you have to point out whether your tentative claims or assumptions will be accepted or rejected. Okay, and we also have the identification of the research variables. Okay, this contains the independent and the dependent variables and the intervening variables. We also have the construction of the research design. When we speak of the research design, this is where the readers will see on how you gather your data. What is your way of getting the information and gathering the data? And then all research, the methodology of the research will be found at the chapter 2. Okay, that is where you could see the research design, designing tools for data collection. What is your instrument or means of getting the information? Will you be using the survey? Will you be interviewing your respondents, or will you be observing the surrounding, or will you be getting or having a experiment inside a laboratory, for example, in a scientific research works? So that could be. That's the designing tools for the data collection. It means what is your means or the tool that you're going to use to gather your data. Designing plan for data analysis, of course, that's part of the methodology. It's part of the process that when you have this information, you have to also design on how are you going to get and analyze the information. Of course, in the methodology, you will get the info. You will get the data rather from your respondents. And you have to also identify on how are you going to interpret those data. Because if you will not be interpreting those data, then it will be pointless. You have to interpret your data so that you will accurately and correctly interpret and input those data in your interpretation, which will be included on your chapter 3. Collection of the data is the means or is the moment you're gathering the data from your respondents. Data processing, you have to process your data. You analyze and interpret your data. Again, do not ever forget to analyze and interpret the data that you are getting. Okay, because that's where research is actually happening. After you gather your data, then what now? What's with that data? You have to identify and be able to declare that on your research work. Draw conclusions and recommendations. Of course, after getting the data, and interpreting the data, you have to arrive with the conclusion and recommendations. No? What can you conclude from that? Okay, what could you recommend? If you will not be able to completely solve the problem, at least you could recommend. At least you step forward more than what is just on that situation or on that problem. Meaning to say, you still do something good about it, so that you need to have a recommendation. You also need to write a research report. You have to report all things happening in your research, and you need to report your research findings. Why do you need to report your research findings? So that the people who are involved, or even the larger community, will be able to know that you conducted the research, and you have to let them know that these are your findings, whether it is accepting or rejecting your hypothesis, or whether it will solve the problem or it will not completely solve the problem. Then the people has to know about it, because again, research is for us to make our lives easier. Okay, meaning to say, you are basically really solving a problem, or if not, you could actually recommend something on that. Okay, that's the totality of the research process. You ask the question, you do the background research, you construct hypotheses, you test with an experiment, analyze results and conclusions. Hypothesis is true, and you also may arrive that hypothesis is false, and then you report the results, and then think again and try again if things does not work. Okay, that's the whole sense of the research process. And now we will be discussing more about the related literature, because this is where actually our discussion will be centered for today, is for us to learn more about what is this RRL that we always call, and it is always included on your research work. Now, related literature is composed of discussions of facts and principles to which the present study is related. Do not forget that the research work are all about facts. Okay, especially in the related literature, that you should not be getting information that are just an opinion, or it's just a vague information, because related literature or research as a whole are all based on facts. Okay, these are all true, and principles to which the present study is related. That is why we call it the related literature and the related review of literature, because these are all information that you get from different sources in different period of times. So it may be even before, and you have to connect that to the present problem that you observe. Okay, so there should be a the relationship that you have to point out on your research work. Materials which are usually printed and found in books, encyclopedias, professional journals, magazines, newspapers, and other publications. These are basically all the resources the resources where you need to get your related literature. It may be from printed books, encyclopedias, professional journals, magazines, and so on. Okay. And now let's all discuss the importance, purposes, and functions of related literature. Okay, so this importance, purposes, and functions needs to be discussed, because this is where you could actually point out the why is it that you conducting research is relevant even up to this time period of time, even during this time period that we have the pandemic. No, research, you could not really deny how important research is in every aspect of your life. Because, for example, even the technology that we are actually enjoying right now is all because of the research by someone else, that it could make our lives easier if we have these machines, if we have this computer, if we have these smartphones. It could really make our lives easier. That is why I would always say to my students that research, because of the research, we're all enjoying the benefits of it, even up to this time period. Now, research helps or guides the researcher in search for and selecting a better research problem or topic. Okay, do not always forget that with this RRL, it will allow you to get more better in selecting a research problem or topic. Because when we speak of the RRL, this means you have to read more about books, about references from even on internet, no? And with that one, you will be able to find what particular topic really deserves to be researched, okay? Because of the things you've done in reading and researching and looking for all other resources, you will be able to identify more on what should be the topic that you have to explore. Number two, it helps the investigator understand his topic or research better. With this RRL, you will read more about those topics. And if you expose more yourselves in reading, with all those variables that are related with your research topic, you will be able to understand more. What is your research all about? No? What is the topic all about? What is the problem that you have to solve? Because these are your information you've gathered and you have to read it comprehensively. Number three, it ensures that there will be no duplication of other studies. With this RRL, it will allow you to not duplicate duplicate works of others. No? Because you will be identifying the works that are related on your topic, and you don't have to identify it as your own work. You have to include it on your RRL so that it will really be acknowledged that these are the works of the authors before that has connection with your research work now. Okay. Number four, it provides the conceptual or theoretical framework of the planned research. When we speak of the conceptual and theoretical framework, these are the most basically the basis of your work, wherein it will just be gist out with a single framework, conceptual and theoretical, that would explain what is your topic all about. Now, it would just simplify your research work. Number five, it gives the researcher a feeling of confidence. Why do you think so that it will give you a feeling of confidence? Because when you gather your information that are related with your study, it will allow you to be much more accountable and master of your research work. Okay, again, the feeling of confidence will be coming from the fact that you will be acknowledged to be a master and be able to be to really know what is the research all about. Because if you know something, or if you really know your research all about, then it will allow you to be much more confident in pursuing the next process of the research work, because you know everything. No, you have the knowledge. Basically, you know how to address whatever the results will be. Okay. Number 6, it provides information about the research methods used. With the RRL, you will know more about what is the topic, what is the problem, what is the concept and the status of that problem in any other places, or with the different resources or references that you have from different authors. So by then on, you will be able to craft and be able to relate that problem with the present and the observed problem that you have in your research work. And by then on, you'll be able to craft and be able to decide what is the best method that you have to use in order for you to get the data accordingly. Okay. Number 7, it provides findings and conclusions of the past investigations. Okay. Again, the RRL, you get information from different authors from different period of times. So from then on, it will allow you to see the different lens of different people from different situations that are related with your topic, and it will help you to craft also on how are you going to craft again or to design your research design and be able to know what are the past investigations. Okay, with knowing the past investigations, it will give you the idea also that this might also happen the same with your research work. Okay, or it may be different, or if not at all, at least you have an idea and you are not ignorant anymore with the research because you have this data or information on your hand, which was included on your RRL. Now, these are the characteristics of related literature materials. No? The survey materials must be as recent as possible, which means when you gather your information that was actually anchored or extracted from your review of related literature, then the tool that you're going to use should be updated. Okay, materials reviewed must be objective and unbiased, which means if you get the data from different sources, it must be accordingly and it should not really be biased at all, which means it does not give any sides. No, it does not in favor for something or for someone. It should be fair. Number 3, material surveyed must be relevant to the study, of course. Okay, of course, this is very important that your research work should be always related and be relevant with your study. Do not ever get information or data from any other sources or references you have, may it be from the book or people or from the internet, that is not significant and connected with your study. Okay, that is why we call it related literature, related, which means it has something to be connected from that study. It should be really connected and relevant. Okay. And then surveyed materials must have based upon genuinely original and true facts or data to make them valid and reliable. Make sure that your research work should have always a basis. And when you get a data, you have to declare where you get that one. What is your reference? And your reference should also be tested or be scrutinized that this is really a good reference. Okay, this is a good reference for you to support your study because that will really test the validity and reliability of your research work. So you have to be very careful also with choosing the materials that you have to use in support with your research work that will be included on your RRL. Now, if you're asking how we'll be able to conduct the review of related literature, or what are your ways in order for you to get that information that will be included on your RRL? You have to visit the school library or other libraries vicinity. This is where actually what I mean here is the printed documents that you have to be include on your RRL. But if you could not, especially during this pandemic, you could get information all over the internet. Okay, do a computer aided search through an electronic database. So what I mean, what is being described or being depicted here with this slide is when you are going to get your information in the library. But basically, I think that this is not anymore possible because of the pandemic. But we are encouraging you to always get and survey the materials that you're going to get. That it should always be reliable, should be a reliable reference. Okay, if it is not on book, you may get from the internet sources that you have. Okay, you have to take down notes all over and over again, information that you get, whether that's from the book or from the internet. Okay, so how are you going to do that? You have to write the general information of that topic, methods in other studies, support your objectives, no? Results to compare with yours, and the pros and cause of the controversy. When you have this research topic, make sure that in your RRL, you have to identify also what are the advantages and disadvantages of that one. Okay, and when you search for an information, make sure again to identify the variables of your research topic. Again, the variables, because with those variables, it will allow you to choose what is the topic that really deserves to be included on your RRL. Because again, that will test the reliability and validity of your research work. Okay, and then you have to write the bibliographic information. You always need not to forget the authors, the publisher date, the complete title of the book, and the place of publication, because this will be included on your list of your references at the end of the day or at the end of your research work. And do not forget on your RRL to identify who is the author and when it was said by that author. And then when you do your RRL, you always have to paraphrase. Okay, do not copy and paste everything, especially on the internet class. Do not get all information from word by word, from first word to last word, because you have to paraphrase. Because if it is not, and if that will be found out to be all copied and pasted, then that it will be revised. You will be having a major revision. Now, how do you write your review of related literature? Okay, this is very important. Use headings arranged in logical order to indicate the main points. When you have the information put into your RRL, you have to include headings, which what I mean here is the topic sentence or the main topic of that discussion. Do not all give me information that you don't have any main topic at all. In each section of your research work, you have to make sure that you have a topic sentence there or the title. Okay, so that you'll be able to identify and the reader will also be able to comprehend the information there. Okay, again, do not forget that there should be a topic sentence or the title in each part or in each section of your RRL. Avoid too long introduction to your main topic. Again, it is already enough that you have on your background of the study that your topic was being introduced. Now, in your RRL, do not overdo it. You only need to input substantial information or a summary or what is your topic all about. Okay, do not overdo it. Include information that are directly related and relevant to your topic. Again, just like what I mentioned earlier, always include only topics that are related with your research work. Because if it is not related at all, even a single bit, then it is not a research. No, you are just like putting all irrelevant topics, and that is merely a violation. And then there should be a maximum of half page, double space to constitute a paragraph. So double spacing is the format, or the 2.0 spacing should be the format of your RRL or even the entire research work itself. And to mind you, the research work or the RRL should be minimum of 20 pages and a maximum of 30 pages. Okay, do not copy in toto the information from your source. No more than 10% of the entire paper is allowed for direct quotation. Again, do not copy and paste everything. That is why you are being taught to paraphrase and to declare also the works of others. If you really get this from the information of others, then you have to identify according to this, according to that, okay, so that it will be declared accordingly and correctly. Okay, do not copy and paste everything, because once again, if that will be found out, then it will have really a major revision. And then next to that, make sure to give due credit to the real source of your data. Cite the authors at the end of the sentence. And how are you going to do that? Make sure you paraphrase using your own words and style the data gathered. You summarize the point from the sources related them to your topic, and then reinforce your data with selected figures or statistics from your resource your course. Again, do not do the plagiarism or copying of the works of others without the declaring or the declaration of the real the owner of that work or of those words. Make sure to always give credits of whoever told or whoever people are behind those information or knowledge that you're included on your RRL. Okay. A common problem actually in writing RRL is that it can turn into a boring list of ideas and or in paragraph form. Make sure that your RRL should not appear really boring. Again, the RRL contains a lot of information, and the tendency is that it will appear, boring. But if you will be able to craft that and put into a very good framework and presentation, then it will not be. Okay, how to avoid that one or to avoid the previous? Make subheads not too many. Transitional phrases, unifying ideas to make information flow smoothly. Again, make sure when you choose your words, okay, it should have a very good transition or the phrases or the discussion on it. Okay, make subheads, but do not overdo that one. Spice your writing with variety. Always make sure to keep your paper alive. Research work will be so much of words, but if you be able to identify or to spice up your writing, that it will not appear boring. Okay, author A found out, author B found out, for example, that one. Replace found out with demonstrates, okay, presented evidence for, supported, observed, reported, examined, and concluded. You may be able to use this following verbs on your RRL in order for your paper to be not boring and there should be a repetition of words. Okay, again, you could use these verbs or action words. For example, early in the 1980s, author A, according to author A, there you go. What related literature should be included on this problem? To investigate the historical effects of neem seed kernel extracts in the Mount testes. No? That is just an example. Okay. Again, to make a review, our discussion for today is all about the review of related literature. Again, the RRL really contains a lot that would actually make your hardbound thick. Okay, and I hope you are able to understand what is that RRL all about. And again, you always have to review the totality of the research process, because understanding more the total of the research process, not just the RRL, will allow you to make your research work worthwhile. Okay, so thank you very much, class, for listening. I will just update everybody with whatever errands or updates we have in the subject. But one thing for sure, the next time around we'll be having our quiz. Okay, thank you, class, and God bless us all.